pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
My bitch a choosing lover, never fuck without a rubber. Never in the sheets like it on top of the cover. Money on the dresser, drive a compressor. Top notch hoes, get the most, not the lesser. Trash like the fuck for $40 in the club. Fucking up the game, bitch, it gets no love. She be cross country, giving all that she got. 1,000 a pop, I'm pulling business off the lot. I smashed up the gray one, bought me a red. Every time we hit the parking lot, we turn head. Some hoes wanna choose, but them bitches too scary. Your bitch chose me, you ain't a pimp, you a fairy.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Baby, you been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. The grass is greener on that other side. If you know what I mean, I show you shit you never seen. The 7 wonders of the world. And I can make you the 8th if you wanna be my girl. I say my girl, I don't mean my woman, that ain't my style. Need a real street stalker, walk a green mile. Piling up the paper on the dining room table. Cause you able to realize I'm the truth and not a fable. Baby, rockin' Russian sable, keep that chiller on the rack. What I look like with some $1,000 shit up on my back. I'm $1 million man, they need $1 billion bitch. Put my pimpin' in your life, watch your daddy get rich. Easy as ABC, simple as 1, 2, 3. Get down with UGK, Pimp CBU with B. Cause what's a hoe with no pimp, and what's a pimp with no hoe? Don't be a lame, you know the game and how it goes. We try to get chose.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction. Happy Tuesday to all of you. I apologize for not being able to go on stream yesterday, so I'm of course making it up to you by going on tonight, and also bringing back something that people have been asking for a while, and that is the return of bingo. We're going to be listening to Juan Galt's latest video, which he's graciously given me the permission to listen to and react to and enjoy the festivities. So shout out to Juan Galt. If you haven't subbed to him, what are you doing? Go sub to him right now. He is a legend in the community for his knowledge on sovereign citizens, firsthand knowledge of sovereign citizens. So definitely check him out. So we're gonna take a look at that. I also actually kind of forgot. Juan Galt in the chat says, cool, a Juan Galt video. He is so handsome. So I've heard. I somewhat forgot going into this that this is primarily audio. It really is all audio. So I forgot I might need to put something on the screen outside of the bingo cards. So I'm going to figure out something to play while you have something to listen to. But we're gonna get things going right away and not let you guys fester. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, I pinned the message in chat, the link to the bingo cards. Make sure that you add a / and a number between 1 and 30 to get yourself a custom card. There you go. Yeah. Where is it? There. Press. Oh. There you go.
Okay, we got an interesting one today. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say this is the best trial of a sovereign citizen that I have ever seen or heard. We're not going to get to see it, but you are going to get to hear it. This judge is just magnificent. He schools this sovereign citizen who covers just about every damn stupid script point they've got. So
that bodes well for us, doesn't it?
Hang on. Enjoy this. I probably won't interrupt very much because this judge is phenomenal. So sit back, relax.
It's all audio, yes.
Enjoy.
Next we have Kevin Lee Carver.
I'm here on that matter. I am
Okay.
one of the people of the Republic of Oregon.
Okay, Mr. Carver, we've got an improper display of your plates as well as failure to carry proof of insurance, and how would you like to plead?
I don't intend to plea. I intend to answer in the form of demur, such that I do not acquiesce quasi-jurisdiction, because that's an issue to be brought up in my pleadings and briefs with the court.
Wow. So I don't think we're even 30 seconds into the actual audio, and already it's fantastic.
Yeah, this guy does a lot of word salad, so hang in there.
Okay, Oregon doesn't recognize demurs anymore, so please tell me if you're going to, your three choices are, excuse me, sir, I'm not going to interrupt you when I ask that you not interrupt. You can plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest. Which would you like to do?
Did the officer make a legal determination that I was in fact operating a motor vehicle at the alleged time?
The officer made an allegation that you have done that. He has not proven it to the court yet. He has made that allegation.
That legal determination stuff is kind of a hangover from Mark Stevens. He liked to talk like that.
Okay, was I in fact operating a motor vehicle at that time?
I would have no idea without a trial, without hearing evidence.
Okay, because according to Title 18, United States Code, section...
Okay, Mr. Carver, I'm going to...
Oh, man. I'll count that as statutes and codes if you got that. There we go.
cut you off there. If you want to make an argument, then let's get this set for trial. This is an arraignment. Arraignment is solely for the purpose of determining how someone is going to plead. So if you want to make a legal or factual argument, we'll set that for trial, okay?
Okay, I would like a formal hearing and a trial by jury.
You don't get a trial by jury, but we will have a trial to meet in about a month. The reason you don't get a jury trial is because this is a non-criminal matter.
But it's, the controversy exceeds $20, and pursuant to the 7th Amendment, I have the right to a trial by jury.
Okay, 7th Amendment has not been incorporated to apply to the states.
Which is correct, and it, granted, I believe in Oregon, it depends on the jurisdiction. The 7th Amendment deals with civil trials. The right to... but either way, regardless of whether it's civil or criminal, it hasn't been incorporated to the states. Furthermore, the Supreme Court has said that jury trials are only required if the maximum sentence is 6 months or less.
And I would refer you to, if you have a pen and piece of paper, I'll give you the site.
I have my Constitution with me.
And I appreciate that. The case is State v. Benoit, which is, it was issued on June 5th, 2013. Supreme Court case number S060858, which establishes that not all violations get a jury trial. If they're criminal, if they're crime-based such that they were founded in a crime but then decriminalized such that at some point you get you get sentenced to jail time, then you still have the right to a jury. This case is not the case.
Does the court have jurisdiction? Can the court prove corpus delicti?
Yes.
Corpus delicti. If you got it, there you go.
I have jurisdiction.
Can you prove it?
Yes, I said so.
But can you prove it?
Giga Chad, because I said so.
Evidence of corpus delicti?
Mr. Carver, one of the things about this court is I do not need to prove that. If you want to raise that defense, I'll make my ruling at that time. If you disagree with you can seek redress through the appellate courts to try to get that overturned. This is not the venue to argue jurisdictional issues.
Sir, did you take an oath to uphold the Constitution?
Yes, I did. So now
Oath. I'll count that as oath of office if you got that one.
I have set this for trial. I will give this to Sam and she'll know.
Objection, I would like a trial by jury.
You're not going to get a trial by jury, sir, okay?
Is the court denying me my right to a trial by jury?
No, I'm not, because you do not have a right to a trial by jury.
Well, that was
Whoa,
easy.
I like that. Very subtle, straight to the point, Judge.
Okay, we're done here.
Okay, Mr. Carver, before I get the trial started and get you and the officer sworn in, I want to go over just some basic things. First of all, this is a trial. This is a proceeding. We all have our roles to do. Individually, you don't owe me any respect. Individually, I don't owe you any respect. Neither one of us has done anything to earn the other's respect. That being said, though, I have to respect you as a litigant in this court. That's the role you play, and you deserve respect for that. Likewise, I am the judge. I've been appointed. I am entitled to a certain amount of respect for that. So I just ask that we both respect one another in our roles there. I am certainly going to allow you to make your arguments that you want. I understand they're a number of Constitution. I will tell you that I have had the opportunity to review your letter to King City. So I know the constitutional arguments. I will.
And the judge really gets in depth in these constitutional arguments. So
He does, which again is very, I very much appreciate it. This audio reminds me of when I showcased the video of Kurt Pendergrass from Idaho, and the judge basically calling him out on his selective quotations. This judge does that, but even better, I think.
just hang in there. You're going to love this, and you're going to learn a lot, too.
I'll tell you that more likely than not, you're not going to like my rulings. And that's, so be it, okay? There are avenues for you to proceed to appeal my rulings. And that I would encourage you to do. I will tell you that I admire anyone who is willing to challenge the status quo. I think that is an admirable thing to do. I don't think it's done often enough these days.
Boy, doesn't he sound like a tyrant.
But there are ways that it has to be done. And much of the relief you are seeking is inapplicable to this court. But I'm certainly going to let you make that argument. If I rule against you, I just ask that you respect the fact that I'm listening to you and I'm making a ruling to what I believe is accurate. If a subsequent court determines that I'm wrong, okay, it wouldn't be the first time someone's found that I'm wrong. If they find that I'm right, so be it, and you may need to appeal that to a higher court. So there are procedures for doing that. Before we begin, do you have any basic questions?
No.
Okay. So if you please stand, I'm going to ask both of you to raise your right hand to be sworn.
I do so under duress.
Pardon me?
I do so under duress.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Carter, the way the process goes is the officer gets to go first since he has the burden of proof.
Okay.
He puts on his case. At the conclusion of his testimony, you'll have the opportunity to question him. It's not an opportunity to argue with him, merely to ask him any questions to clarify his testimony.
Okay.
When you're done with that, if the officer doesn't have anything further, he essentially rests. At that point, it goes over to you to tell me.
Oh, he did say actually. Yeah, he did say under duress. So threat, duress, coercion. That counts.
Make any arguments. Tell me your side of the story. Give any factual statements as well as the legal arguments. When you've concluded, the officer will have the opportunity to ask you questions. Again, not to argue with you, merely to clarify any of your testimony. At the conclusion of that, I will issue my ruling. And again, if I don't know what the end result is going to be on the violation, I have suspicions on the constitutional arguments where I'm going to end up, but you and I are going to have at least a somewhat detailed conversation on those. If there are areas of the law that you are addressing today that were not previously raised in your letter, I may not be familiar with those, and I may not, and I'll try to rule them at best of my ability. I'm going to ask you today, are you recording this hearing?
I am.
Okay, and I want to let you know that under Oregon law, it is unlawful to record conversations if you do not get the person's consent.
But it's in a public area.
It doesn't matter. If you're having a conversation with someone, says you go, I'm going to wait, I'm fine with you recording it. But I just want to let you know that in the future, and Oregon's got this really, I don't understand why. If I'm having a telephone conversation with you, I can record that telephone conversation without telling you I'm recording it. If we're having a face-to-face conversation, I have to tell you I'm recording it. I don't understand.
That sounds ridiculous, in my opinion. That's a very, very weird distinction in Oregon law when it comes to wiretapping.
Understand why they made that differentiation, but the legislature did, and I'm going to respect it. That being said, I just want to get on the record that you are recording this, and I'm fine with that. Okay, so I specifically waive. Officer, do you have any objection to it being recorded?
I have no objection.
Okay. And Dave, you're a spectator, so I don't, I'm at least advising you that this is being recorded, so anything you do say, I don't believe, you're not going to be called as a witness, I don't think. I'm not aware of, but just understand that if you do chime in, that's being recorded. If you want to put it up here, so we can better, yeah.
Damn, that judge is such a tyrant.
Okay, officer, you get to go first.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Daniel Heisen. I'm a law enforcement officer employed by the City of King City since October 1997. On January 27th, year 2014, at approximately 11:17 a.m., I was on duty in uniform and operating a marked patrol car on routine patrol driving west on Southwest Fisher Road towards Southwest 136th Avenue. Southwest Fisher Road near 136th Avenue is a public roadway within the state of Oregon, City of King City. On the mentioned date and time, while driving on Fisher Road, I observed a white Mitsubishi van driving behind my patrol car, also westbound on Fisher Road. As I looked at the Mitsubishi van approximately 2 to 4 car lengths behind me, I did not see a registration plate displayed on the front of that vehicle. I conducted a traffic stop on the Mitsubishi van on Southwest 134th Terrace, near Southwest Macbeth Drive. I contacted the driver of the van and told him that I stopped him because there was no license plate displayed on the front of the vehicle and requested to see his driver's license. The driver presented Oregon driver's license. I observed that driver's license is issued to Mr. Kevin Carver. And Mr. Carver is present today at this proceeding as a defendant. Mr. Carver told me that his front plate is displayed on the dashboard of the van and is visible through the windshield. At the time I was standing speaking with Mr. Carver at the driver's door, I could see that the plate was displayed on the dashboard. I told Mr. Carver that the front plate must be displayed in a manner that allows it to be easily read. I further advised Mr. Carver that I was not able to see and read the plate information as he followed my patrol car. During the stop, I did step in front of Carver's vehicle and stood approximately 15 feet away. I looked at the front of Carver's van and had difficulty clearly reading the information on the plate, including the registration tags affixed to the bottom of the plate. The plate on the dash of Carver's van is easily read if you stand, as I mentioned, next to the driver's door or within close proximity to the front of the vehicle. We contacted Carver after making that observation and requested to see his proof of liability insurance. Mr. Carver presented me with a handwritten note on a small piece of paper that had obviously been torn off of a larger sheet. The handwritten information included the name of an insurance company and expiration date. I told Carver that I was unable to accept that as valid proof of insurance. And I asked Mr. Carver if he had anything else and to offer his proof of insurance and allow him an opportunity to search for the document. Mr. Carver did check the interior of his vehicle console and his glove box. Then he told me he did not have a printer and the handwritten note was all he could provide.
Really? But a handwritten note's all I could I mean, even in this digital age, an insurance company will still send you insurance cards. Mine does. In 2022.
Consequently, I issued Mr. Carver citations for improper display of registration plates and failure to carry proof of insurance. Relevant conditions at the time of violation were light traffic flow in a residential district. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Carver, do you have any questions of the officer?
Are you making a legal determination that I was in fact operating a motor vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know the definition of a motor vehicle?
If I'm permitted to go get a book, ORS book, yeah.
I have it right here.
Well, I would prefer to read it out of the ORS book.
Title 18 United States Code oversees that. And it says here, every description of...
Okay, Mr. Carver, again, I'm going to interrupt you because this is more of an argument. The question was, does he know what the definition is?
I'm just explaining it to him.
Well, but he's already said he's relying upon the Oregon state law as opposed to 18 USC Section 31.
Right, but...
So if you want to say that that's more of a legal argument that you and I are going to have, but you ask the officer, does he know, is he familiar with that statute? And the answer is going to be no, he's not. On what do you base your determination? He based it upon Oregon law. So that's kind of resolves that. I'd rather save our conversation regarding the applicability of that statute for our conversation as opposed to
asking the officer, because I think you got the answer to the officer. Okay?
All right.
And you're going to have the opportunity to raise that issue, but that's more of a legal argument. The purpose on your questioning is more on the factual aspects of this. And so the factual aspects, of course, would be, where was the license, whether or not the license plate was adequately displayed, whether or not you had provided adequate proof of insurance. Those are the factual issues. The legal issues are really for you and I rather than you and the officer.
Right.
No, Dracondros says Artie is questioning this definition, conveyance, vessel, and bingo card. No, he's talking about motor vehicle. I want to hear, he's got to say conveyance or vessel.
But the license plate, the insurance,
There, the judge tries to focus this guy on the facts. That's what he's going to deal with, and that's what the cop is there for, to elicit the facts from the cop, instead of getting into legal arguments.
all that only applies to motor vehicles. It doesn't apply to my private Mitsubishi.
Okay, so let you and I have a conversation on that right now. You're referring to 18.
So I would say the fact that the judge is actually stopping this while the officers is stopping to engage in this legal argument, while the cop is still like supposed to be on the stand and testifying, is very odd, but also interesting, because rarely do we have like a direct, like it's happened before, we've heard it before, but it's pretty rare for a judge to actually entertain and combat with a SovCit on their right to travel BS, like directly, instead of just saying, we're not listening to this BS, we're moving on.
USC section 31?
Yep.
Okay, so that
Definition 6.
sub 6 specifically says that the term motor vehicle, and that's for purposes of that statute. And that that chapter, the chapter covers certain specific crimes, specifically destruction of aircraft or aircraft facilities, destruction of motor vehicles or motor vehicle facilities. Talks about section 34 is penalty when death occurs. Section 35 is imparting or conveying false information. 36 is drive-by shooting. 37 is violence in international airports. 38 is fraud involving aircraft or space vehicle parts in interstate or foreign commerce. 39A is aiming a laser pointer at an aircraft, and 40 is commercial motor vehicles required to stop for inspection. So none of those crimes have been alleged against you today.
Right, but
Exactly. I've had this argument with sovereign citizens all day long, where they often cite 18 USC for the definition of motor vehicle, and then scream and yell about the supremacy clause, not understanding the limitations of that definition, the built-in limitations of the applicability of that definition.
I wasn't operating under commercial purposes.
Right, but you haven't been charged with a crime under that chapter. Therefore, the definition of motor vehicle for purposes of that chapter is inapplicable today.
Bam.
How so?
Because that definition in the statute, it specifically says, for purposes of this chapter, the following definitions apply. And that's when it defines what a motor vehicle is, for purposes of that chapter. And that's very common in statutes, where it says, for this chapter, we mean this. Now, that doesn't mean for another chapter, motor vehicle may be defined differently.
And this, again, is something SovCits always do. They find a definition that fits their narrative and ignore...
Oh, he did say commercial activity. Count that one.
...the application of that definition.
So Oregon law has defined a motor vehicle that covers your Mitsubishi.
But I still have the right to travel.
Right to travel! Jeez. He just straight up says it right there.
Certainly have a right to travel in a motor vehicle, provided that if you're operating on...
It's a basic right, and there's plenty of court cases, Supreme Court cases that prove that.
Well, and on the issue of whether or not 18 USC section 31 sub 6 applies, I'm going to rule against you on that one, because I've reviewed that statute.
Whether or not it applies or not, I still have the right to travel in my private conveyance.
Well, and
there it is, conveyance.
That is not within my purview at this time. That what's before me today is two violations, which is one is failure to carry proof of insurance, and the other one is improper display of tags, or essentially the license.
See, the SovCit, Mr. Doofus here, brings up a whole different argument that is not even before the judge right now, and that is his right to travel. So, in other words, if he wants to use that as a defense, well, maybe he'll be able to do that. We'll see. Hang in there.
So, whether or not, I can't give you an advisory ruling as to if you were cited for driving and we got into an issue of whether or not you did have a right to drive your vehicle on roads. That's not before me today, and I can't give you an advisory ruling on that. So I'm not going to address that. That's something that if it comes up again, it comes up again, and we'll address it at that time. But I'm kind of limited to the 2 violations have been asserted against you at this point. So I'm from a legal standpoint, I'm telling you that I find that Section 18 USC Section 30, or pardon me, 18 USC Section 31 sub 6, the definition of motor vehicle in that statute, which is part of the definition section, is not applicable today. Okay?
That's what happens with the SovCits. They get to scrambling around cherry picking and trying to find sentences from here and there and trying to put them together, and they lose sight of the purpose why they're there, and just the for this guy, just the 2 basic violations that are alleged against him. That's all they need to focus on. But as you can see, they get wound up in all sorts of out in the weeds.
And that's, obviously, you can appeal that, and I'd encourage you to do so, okay? But for purposes of today, I'm determining that does not apply. So if you have any factual questions for the officer, you can certainly ask them. And I'd love to, actually, I want to hear specifically, and as I said, we're going to get into the constitutional issues and the other issues, but what I really would like to get down to is resolving the factual issue first, which is specifically, did you have insurance, and did you have the license plate properly displayed? So I would request, I can't require you, but I'm going to request that you address those issues first, and then we can go through the laundry list of other issues.
But there's no jurisdiction anyways, because where's the contract and where's the injured party?
Oh my God, injured party! God, I told you, man. This is a perfect one for bingo.
Okay, and there I assume you're referring to.
Honestly, I'm surprised there hasn't been a bingo yet.
You're saying that it's a civil action, so there's 2 things. Where's the contract that's involved, and also the injured party.
It's not a civil action. This is a violation, which is a non-criminal matter.
You told me at the arraignment that it was a civil action.
Okay, and the way I use civil action is to differentiate from criminal actions. In essence, in actuality, there are criminal violations, there are non-criminal violations, and then there's civil actions. This is really a non-criminal violation, and if I said civil, I misspoke.
I am so happy a judge took the time to explain that to a SovCit. I'm telling you, this judge is just incredibly competent and professional.
I apologize for that.
Okay, but where's the court's proof of jurisdiction?
He has established jurisdiction because you were within the city limits of the city.
But I wasn't driving, I was only traveling.
Where you were, Oregon law references operation of the vehicle. And you were, in my understanding, according to the officer, you were operating the vehicle.
Operation, I think I have the legal definition in here.
Oh God, here we go.
Of what the operation means.
Say it. Say it. Say Black's Law.
Because lawfully I was not operating. Don't seem to have it. I don't have the definition in here, but if the court will look up Black's Law Dictionary, it will,
There it is. Of course.
the definition of an operation.
Yeah, Judge, get off the bench and go look up this word here that I've thrown out that I don't have any support for. You go do the work.
Okay, and what do you believe the definition of operation is?
Okay, so you have a driver and an operator. The driver is the one who is employed to conduct the coach or carriage in the act of commerce, and the operator is one who actually owns it, to my understanding.
Okay, and I will disagree with that. My analysis, my experience in almost 30 years of practicing law
Experience
is when you're dealing with private, and we're not talking about commercial vehicles here, we're talking about private vehicles. The operator is deemed the person who is physically operating the car. It doesn't need to be an owner. They don't need to own it if they're operating it. And I've had situations where a fairly common one the Court of Appeals has addressed
drunk driving here
at least once or twice.
I just want to say here also that the operator and the driver that this guy's trying to throw out there, of course, is in the commercial realm that he probably got from some commercial statute in Title 18 or something like that.
Is where someone has passed out behind the wheel. So they're parked off the side. I had this happen in one case, not with a client of mine, but an adverse party. The person had come back from a Christmas party, had been drunk, passed out, but the car was still running. The keys were in it, the car was running, the lights were on. He had passed out though, and under Oregon law, he was deemed to be still operating that since he was behind the wheel with the car on. So under Oregon, the current Oregon law, operating is determined to be behind the wheel, actually physically using the car.
Looks like I'm going to have to appeal that one too.
Okay, and trust me, I seriously do encourage you not, I'm not trying to be snide, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. Again, I admire someone who's challenging the status quo, so I want you to challenge, because if I'm wrong, I want to know I'm wrong, okay? So, certainly appealing that would, I encourage you to do so. So, do you have anything? One of the reasons I want to have you get back to the factual questions with the officer is because he is ill and I don't want to make him stand up any longer than he has to. We can certainly have continued legal discussions, but I'd like to allow him to at least rest without having to worry about answering questions any longer than he has to. So, do you have any factual questions for the officer?
Well, one thing that did arise was because I was following you and I told you that I had the right to observe officers in their duty, but you told me that you didn't consent and that you would write me a citation for that. Do you have the legal...
I did not make that statement.
I have it on recording.
Okay, why don't you play that?
Ooh, okay, here we go. So now sounds like a little bit of First Amendment auditor bits happening here.
Recording.
I can do that.
But let me ask, before we do that, what's the relevance in that?
Because that's the original reason why he stopped me. Because
I testified that I stopped the Mitsubishi vehicle because it did not have a front plate display. That's the reason for the stop.
But you also said another thing that concerns me is the fact that you're following me. Why are you following me? I have it all on tape. I can play it back.
Gentlemen, it's and here's where I am on that. Whether or not the officer stopped you, had an ulterior motive for stopping you, is somewhat irrelevant here. That may be a basis for a tort claim
Yes.
notice. If you feel he was harassing you, if you feel he was retaliating against you, that is more of a civil claim. That doesn't address, that's not a basis. If he had a reasonable basis for stopping you, which according to his testimony was the failure to properly display the license in front, that's what's relevant. Whether or not he did it for, putting it one way, if he did the right thing for the wrong reason, there may be other avenues for you to pursue, but that's not going to be relevant for today's case. Okay?
All right. And then the other thing too, I had another question. I can't think of it now.
And we can certainly, if you want to address some of the legal issues, we can, as long as the officers, as long as you're able to make it.
Yeah.
Okay. If you and I want to address some of the constitutional or the other larger issues, we can do that and allow and if you remember your factual question, I'll let you ask the officer later on. Okay? What other legal issues would you like to talk about?
Well, I have a couple of Supreme Court cases here that state the right to travel. The use of the highway for the purpose of travel and
Oh my God, he's still going on.
transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common fundamental right of which the public and individuals cannot rightfully be deprived. Chicago Motor Coach versus Chicago.
There it
What's
is.
the year on that?
It was 1920 something, like 23 or 30.
I thought it was in the teens.
Is that it's a U.S. Supreme Court case?
Yeah, I have the site right here.
It was not. I believe it was Illinois. It was an Illinois state case.
It's 169 NE 221.
Okay, this guy talks about it a lot. Most SovCits talk about it. Their right to travel. Now, what is the right to travel? Well,
Educate us, Juan.
a lot of the cases that the SovCits quote, and this guy quotes it as well, has to do with people moving from one state to another, and it has to do with the amount of welfare benefits they get when they move to the new state.
It also comes up a lot in custody hearings as well. Custody like visitation. Say for instance a mom wants to take the kid out of state to go to like Disney World or something like that, or they want to take them out to or move them out of state. And the husband or the father disagrees or disputes that. There might be a potential right to travel implications there that are raised.
And some states have restricted what they could get, and the people sued them, and the Supreme Court said, no, we have the right to travel here in the United States, and you can't punish people. You have to treat them just like your own citizens when they move to your state. So the right to travel, here's what the Supreme Court says, discussed in our cases, embraces at least three different components. It protects the right of a citizen of one.
BSBT says, is there any factual evidence to prove that a private civilian has any obligation to follow a written instrument called the traffic code? Yes. Force of arms.
State to enter and to leave another state. The right to be treated as a welcome visitor rather than an unfriendly alien when temporarily present in the second state. And for those travelers who elect to become permanent residents, the right to be treated like other citizens of that state. Now, nowhere in there do they talk about a mode of transportation. Nowhere in there do they talk about how you get to the other state. They don't talk about using the roads. They don't talk about a driver's license inhibiting your right to travel. As a matter of fact, the courts have said that requiring you to have a driver's license does not interrupt your right to travel.
Did he say I do not consent, or I thought it was the judge, or I forget what the context was for I do not consent. I don't think it was in the context of the guy saying it in that one.
Travel, toll roads, gasoline tax, all of these things have been found not to restrict or deny your right to travel. So when you hear someone talk about right to travel.
Oh, he did? If he did, then we'll go ahead and count it. I think a lot of people said that he did at one point.
Remember these three different components that make up what the right to travel is. And it has nothing to do with driving your car on the roads unregulated. Got it, SovCits?
Okay, 169NE,
Yes.
what's the page number?
221.
Okay, I will tell you just based on that site, it's unlikely to be a Supreme Court case. That more likely came from the Northeast, one of the Northeast districts, or it's probably a state case from somewhere in the Northeast. U.S. Supreme Court cases usually have sites of either U.S. or S Court, or I'm trying to remember what the other
Supreme
one
Court reports.
Yeah, well, SCT is Supreme Court reports, but NE is not indicative of a U.S. Supreme Court case.
Okay. To my understanding, that was okay. See, I got this other one here. This one's Thompson v. Smith. It's 154 SE.
That is also not a Supreme Court case. That is a Virginia Supreme Court case.
579.
Oh, who got bingo? Somebody got bingo? Chaos Warden got bingo? Darn. Congrats, Chaos Warden. Send me a message. Oh wait. No? Who? Oh my god. Is that a false alarm? I guess so. All right, never mind.
The right of the citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon, either by carriage or by automobile, is not a mere privilege which a city may prohibit or permit at will, but a common law right which he has under the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Okay, and once again, the SE, generally when you see a reference to SE or NE, they're referring to reporters that are published by the West Publishing Company. And what they do is they separate the country into various regions. They have Northeast, Southeast, Northwest is one of the big ones. They got one just for California. I don't recall, they have one for Southern, which is SO. So those, to the extent that those are from Southeast, those two cases from Southeast and Northeast, they are not binding upon Oregon courts.
Okay, Shapiro versus Thompson, this is 394.
Now, this one is a Supreme Court case, but still doesn't help.
For U.S. 618, the right to travel is a right so basic it doesn't need to be mentioned.
Okay.
And then there's Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, 319 U.S. 105. I'm sorry.
This one is the you cannot convert a right into a privilege, but this one had to do with solicitation. This one had to do with like a solicitation, an anti-solicitation ordinance. That's what it was. There was a town that had imposed an ordinance against people going door to door for flyers, and the court ruled that that particular ordinance and how it was done was unconstitutional, even though the ordinance tried to legitimize it by attaching a fee and a licensure and a registration, etc., etc. But of course, again, this has nothing to do with the use of the roads and how they're used and by what mechanism they're used.
Sorry. A state may not impose a charge for the enjoyment of a right granted by the federal Constitution.
Okay.
Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, Alabama, 373 U.S. 262. If the state converts a right into a privilege, the citizen can ignore the license and fee and engage in the right with impunity.
Okay.
Marbury versus Madison. I don't have the citation on
I've got Marbury. That's one of the old ones. I learned that back in law school.
Anything in
Oh, don't we all know Marbury versus Madison?
conflict with the Constitution is repugnant and null and void of law.
Well, yeah. I mean, Marbury dealt with a number of different matters.
Right. It was a judicial issue, but that was one of the things brought up by John Marshall. Kent v. Doles, 357 U.S.
That Kent versus Dulles has to do with passports, nothing to do with access to the licensure or registration of motor vehicles.
US 116, 125. The right to travel is part of the liberty of which a citizen cannot be rightfully deprived without due process of law under the Fifth Amendment. Shackman v. Doles, 96, APP DC 287, 225, F2D 938 at 341 or 941. The right to travel is a well-established common right that does not owe its existence to the federal government.
In that case, is of the federal second district, which would not. We're in the 9th district, so that may have. It has no binding effect upon Oregon courts. And those ones they're federal courts. Do you have any Oregon law?
I don't have any specific Oregon law, but
Isn't that
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much.
just a hoot? He does all of this scrambling around, cherry picking, but he has no Oregon law.
the Kent v. Doles is a Supreme Court case, and so is Shapiro v. Thompson.
And I understand that, but there's also a difference, and the courts have looked at this as far
BSBT, I don't trust you to use my quotation in the proper context. So no, I don't trust you at all. Sorry, with all due respect.
as what the state's rights are versus the federal rights, and federal highways versus state highways. The opinion came out October 3rd, 2013, which addressed that issue. I will also tell you that the right to a jury trial, even in civil cases, is not an absolute right. And I was able to find 2 examples of where a jury trial is not allowed in a civil case. First of all, divorce cases. Divorces are by nature a civil lawsuit. There's no right to a jury trial under Oregon law. Small claims trials. Oregon law has said that any claim for under $750 is mandatory small claims, and there's no right to a jury trial in a small claims action. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's the law that as I understand it, and that's what I'm bound by. Certainly, and that can be a basis for an appeal, and again, I encourage that. Another argument you raised referenced that I was acting as both judge and prosecutor. I want to make it clear that I'm not. I am merely the judge, and it's the prosecutor is in effect the officer. He is.
Did he? Did you have proof of corpus delicti as their injured party?
Oh my God! Well, we already. Oh wait, nobody did bingo again. So corpus delicti and injured parties already been mentioned.
The phrase corpus delicti is generally is used to mean a physical object upon which the crime was committed. Again, this is not a crime, so therefore there is no.
Then what am I being punished for? If there's a fine imposed on me, then there has to be. He has to have a lawful claim. He can't just say, "Oh, I didn't like where your plate was, so now you owe me $300."
No, he's deemed, in his opinion, that you have violated Oregon statute in 2 different ways. He has made that allegation, and he's been empowered to cite you into court on that violation. Let me finish, okay? He then comes in, and the way our system works is you certainly have the right to refute his allegations, and that's why we're here today. The officer has the burden of proof by proving by preponderance of the evidence whether or not his statements are sufficient and are more likely than not accurate. You then, if he has done that, and he has at least established his burden, the burden then shifts over to you.
Again, I honestly, while I appreciate the judge basically shutting down the all of the standard SovCit right to travel arguments like one by one, I do appreciate it, and he's doing an excellent job of it. But man, he's being extra patient with his BS. Like, he's basically like teaching him law. He's giving him legal advice, almost, in my opinion. He doesn't really need to do that. And, you know, at some point, I hope the judge will be like, okay, it has a realization that this guy isn't interesting in actually learning. He's just being a tool bag, and there's no point in wasting your breath anymore.
To prove that, in fact, you did have the license plate properly. Hold on, let me just finish, and then we'll talk. The burden shifts to you to prove that you did have the license plate properly and adequately displayed, as well as you did have proof of insurance with you. If you're able to establish that, so one of 2 things happens. Either I can't decide who's right and who's wrong, you win, because he has not then established the burden of proof. If I find that more likely than not you're correct and he's wrong, you prevail. But that's kind of where I'm dealing. So the corpus delicti doesn't apply, and me acting as judge and prosecutor isn't accurate because I'm not acting as prosecutor. That's the officer is acting as prosecutor. He's presenting the case. I'm merely making the factual and legal determinations based upon the evidence that I hear today. Okay, so I want to address that, and we can certainly, if you don't mind, I'd like to jump on. You also referenced denial of due process in the 5th Amendment, and again, that I'm going to tell you that applies to crimes, and under current Oregon law, this is not considered a crime. It is considered a non-criminal violation.
and therefore the Fifth Amendment wouldn't apply. Just seeing if I've got any other notes. Oh, there's also something you had referenced in, with me acting as judge and prosecutor, you referenced 18 U.S.C. Section 208. That applies to administrative hearings, and that essentially, actually it only applies to federal employees, and then it bars acts affecting a personal financial interest. Again, I'm not a federal employee.
Again, why he's citing federal ethics laws in a state case, beyond me, but you know, I'm asking rhetorical questions here.
And I don't have a dog in this fight. I get paid whether I'm here for trial, or whether I get paid whether you plead, whether you fight this, it doesn't matter. I essentially really do have no dog in the fight. Then you reference lack of jurisdiction under 5 U.S.C. 556. That's the one that references administrative hearings and judicial proceedings after the opportunity for administrative hearings. So that's not an applicable statute. Okay? That's kind of just going through my notes in response. Do you have any, and then you talked about a bill of attainder.
Right.
And I'm finding that this is not a bill of attainder, because the definition of bill of attainder is essentially a legislative quasi-judicial act. It's an act of legislation which singles out a particular individual and punishes them without an opportunity for a hearing or a trial. And that's Marbury versus Madison, where they said, the legislature, you can't do that. That's a judicial function, and that is the determination of whether someone has violated a law comes before the jury. So a bill of attainder doesn't apply here, because in this case, the law has been set out that says, this is what you need to do and this is what you can't do. And in this case, it specifically talks about a proper display of the front license plate, and it talks about requiring proof of insurance. They're not, and they set the potential fines, but they don't say, you know, the officer can't write you a ticket and you have to pay that right then and there. You have due process, you have the right to a trial, which is why we're here today. Okay? So on those issues, would you like to discuss them further?
Yeah, statutes don't apply to traveling. They only
there it is. Statutes and codes don't apply to me.
They only apply to drivers.
Okay, I'll disagree with you on that.
I wasn't driving. That's the thing. I was just simply traveling. I was just watching a Heisen on his duty.
Okay.
If I was driving, then I would have been transporting goods or services for some kind of money form or property or some kind of exchange, which I wasn't doing.
Okay. I understand your argument. I disagree with it, though. Okay, driving and
Anonymous, thank you for the $4.20 tip.
operating are the distinction, as far as I'm concerned, is operating. You can be sitting in a car while it's idling, and you're still operating that vehicle, but you're not driving it. In my opinion, you're driving it if the vehicle is actually moving. That's how I define or differentiate between operating and driving. I am finding, as a matter of law in my court, that it doesn't need to be for commerce. It doesn't need to be. You don't need to own the vehicle. You don't need to be getting paid to transport anything. Okay.
Right, but I still have the right to travel in my private conveyance. No court can overrule that. It's a natural right that was given by my creator.
Okay, I will disagree with you on that on a couple different bases. You certainly have the right to travel. You can go from town to town, state to state, country to no, limitations as far as country to country, but certainly in the United States, you can.
Bonks already on the head with a stuffed kitty. You didn't see my milestone chat on the way beginning. I'm sorry, Thea. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the milestone chat. Thank you so much for your support, Thea. I appreciate it.
Travel town to town, state to state. There are limitations where you can go. For example, I can bar you from coming onto my property. The government can bar you from coming onto their property. So there are limitations there. As far as operating or driving a motor vehicle on public highways, there can be limitations, and there are. If Oregon law has deemed that driving on public roads is deemed a privilege, the right to travel may be unfettered or limited fettered, but maybe almost essentially an absolute right. The right to use public roads.
All right, BSBT says, okay, different question. If I use your answer to my question under fair use, will you file a false copyright strike? I will not monetize. No. I mean, I don't give you permission. But if you're going to use it and respond to it in fair use, I mean, I can't stop you, and I'm not going to be like one of your sycophantic colleagues who abuses the copyright strike system. So no, I'm not going to be that guy.
Roadways is not an absolute right. That is a privilege granted by the state.
It's actually a right because the gasoline tax pays for the roads.
Well, they don't pay for all the roads, but yes, okay. Even accepting that argument, it's still processed through the government. And therefore, Oregon has deemed that the right to travel on public roads is not a right but a privilege, which is why they...
But the Supreme Court has ruled to the contrary.
I disagree with your analysis on that.
It's right here, Shapiro versus Thompson.
Okay, and sir, I'm just telling you, I'm respectfully disagreeing with your analysis of the case law, okay? That's why they have appeals. By the way, did you have an opportunity to remember what you wanted to ask the officer?
I didn't.
Okay. Do you have anything further you'd like to add? Let me just ask you, do you have insurance?
I'm not lawfully required to have, so.
Okay, and
I'm not lawfully required to have insurance. Then what the heck did he put on that handwritten note?
The reason I asked...
At the time I did, but okay. I'm just saying that.
Oh, at the time he did, but he put it on a handwritten note.
The reason I asked that is King City, we generally have what's called a fix-it ticket, which is if you do not carry proof insurance with you, but you do in fact have insurance, and you bring in proof that you had insurance at the time, generally we reduce or essentially dismiss that ticket as kind of a courtesy to people. I want to let you know that. So if you can bring, if you have with you today proof that you had insurance at the time, I'm willing to write off that ticket or reduce it down to $25. But other than that, I'm going to have to rule on both violations. But I certainly want to give you the opportunity to tell me anything else.
I'll definitely appeal it.
Okay. And I would ask one favor of you. When you appeal it, if you would copy me, and I'll give you my personal business card. And again,
I feel like the judge is kind of trolling him a little bit, because this sounds like something I would do if I was a judge. Like, dude, if you appeal this, can you copy me on all your filings? Like, I swear I'm totally in favor of you challenging, but I swear I'm not going to use it for meme material.
I'm curious. I find what you're doing to be intriguing. I'm not sure I would have the time or the inclination to fight this battle like you are, but it still interests me. And to the extent that I can learn more, I'm always open to learn more.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so it's a request, rather. It's certainly not. I can't order you, and I wouldn't order you that. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, officer, do you have anything further you'd like to add?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, based upon the facts and evidence and legal arguments introduced today, I'm going to find Mr. Carver guilty on both of these violations.
Well, okay.
Guilty.
He didn't win, and he was found guilty, and he says he's going to appeal. Well, from my understanding, there is no appeal. However, I do have a couple of cases of appeals that I've been working on and editing and such that I'll get out here as soon as I can. Hope you enjoyed the video.
And there we go. Honestly, that was just an epic takedown of SovCit arguments by the judge that is well earned and deserving of praise. Even though I would say he's still at some point you gotta realize, like, there's no turning back for a lot of them. This guy seemed very clear that he is obviously ideologically driven. He's definitely not somebody who bought a packet and is just trying this out. But it is what it is. Oh God, why? Oh. If it's one thing, it's the other thing. I don't know why my PC Like every time I fix something, another thing breaks, and it's always a frustrating event. Oh well. I have too many gadgets, I think. That's always the problem. Yeah. I'm so shocked that nobody got a bingo. I was so certain that there was going to be at least one, if not two bingos. So I'm very, very surprised at it. Man, it's still too early. We've only been going on for an hour. I thought this would actually go on for like at least an hour and a half. I mean, there was something. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any other. I don't have any. Well, I don't have any. I don't have any other sovereign citizen videos that would kind of work here. I don't. I have a couple of videos that I'm interested in showcasing, but they're not SovCit related. You know what I mean? And I kind of want to. I'm trying my best to like, kind of keep the topics of my videos and live streams like very focused and not like kind of be all over the place. So unfortunately, I don't have anything left for the night. I wish I didn't end it this early, only for an hour, but there was actually a couple of there's actually two videos from Charlie Moist Critical that I wanted to take a look at. One of you guys showed me, well, that guy who headed up the fire festival is out of prison. He has a new crazy idea that somebody wanted me to react to, and then he posted another video today that I thought was hilarious. How long is the other one? It's actually pretty short. It's only 9.5 minutes. There is a new van video. Actually, we could take a look at. Let's keep it in. So I'll save that later. We'll keep it the subject matter with SovCits. See if we can get some more bingo slots. All right. YouTube source.
I cannot believe we are back in Australia so soon after the last video, but here we are with yet another sovereign citizen attempting the script while driving unlicensed. And as with the previous video, these cops are not interested in debating any of her pseudo-legal theories at the side of the road, and quickly arrest her when she refuses to hand over her details. Hence how short the video is. Anyway, enjoy.
Have been pulled over by the police. Can I please get your name? Have you got your video?
No, Acting Sergeant Gibson from Gold Coast Highway
Okay. Now have I?
Stop talking for a second. Listen to what I'm asking you. What's your full name?
I do not consent.
You're going to be arrested shortly for failing to provide your details.
Under what law?
Listen to me.
You listen to me, please.
I'm speaking to you.
Okay.
I've asked you to state your full and correct name.
Can I please?
I don't need to explain about your driver's license at the moment.
Can I have a say?
No, I've asked you to explain.
Why can I not talk?
Listen. I've asked you to state your full and correct name.
I think you're being very aggressive.
If you can't provide those details,
you're being very aggressive.
Do you understand?
Why?
What is your full name?
What crime have I committed? State
your full name. You are unlicensed at the moment.
At the moment, ma'am, Excuse me.
All right.
Excuse me.
Ma'am, you're under arrest. Turn the car off. Turn the car off now. Don't put that on me. I'll bust your window.
Whoa.
Put the window down.
So this is violence. Is this violence?
Put your window
down. Is this violence?
You are under arrest.
Under what law?
You're unlicensed.
Put the window down now.
Unlicensed. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Listen, look, I don't want to be. I don't want. You're starting to threaten me.
Put the window down. You are under arrest.
I think they're beyond threatening now. They're saying you're straight up under arrest.
You're threatening me.
You are under arrest. Open the window now.
I can't believe that the police are going to put me under
the window
arrest
down now.
for a breathalyzer. Look at this. 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 Violence. Violence by the police. I've done nothing wrong. I have done nothing wrong. Let's discuss this nicely. I will come out if you calm down.
Open the door now.
I will open the door if you calm down. If you calm down, I will open.
Can you grab that?
Can you feel me? Look.
Seatbelt off. Under arrest. Undo the seatbelt. Up out of the car. Put the handbrake on. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Out.
Well, that was short and sweet, and even quicker than the recent Coffs Harbour arrest video, I think. And that, my goodness, at the end summed this stop up perfectly. I've got to say, I'm really enjoying these Aussie SovCit arrest videos at the moment. No 20-minute debate, no discussing their feelings, just one, maybe two warnings, and the cuffs come out. US cops, please take note. Anyway, at the time of this recording, I can't find any information about this arrest, but if I do find any, I'll post it in the description. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you also to my channel members and patrons for your continued support. It really does mean a lot. Right, take care all, and I will catch you in the next video.
Shout out to Van Balian for the short and sweet. Excuse me. So, all right, it's not Sov related, but we have to take a look at it real quick though. Where's I going with this? I've been Shake Kfars. All right, is it? You said it was a Well, hold it. Check it out. Where's Kfar? Somewhere around here. Kfar.
All right, guys, so this is going to be a first for me. It's a sovereign citizen and family court trying to pull the sovereign citizen nonsense to get out of child support. Good luck and God.
This is, well, it may be the first for Kfar. It's definitely not the first for me. I would have to say that traffic and family are the two areas where SovCit ideology is most applied. Third place would probably be in like mortgage or debt relief or taxes.
And speed.
We have Katie Howard in the waiting room as well. Mr. Brugman, I do have one person in the waiting room for paternities, but do you want to start on Mr. Howard first? Sure. Okay. Whatever you judge. Okay, thanks. All right, so okay, Mr. Howard, do you want to have a seat up here?
On the contract, if I go up here, or
Mr. Howard, all right, so this is in the matter of Katie Suzanne Howard versus Daryl Levon Howard Jr. File number 19-46860DM. Mr. Howard, I'd like you to sit at defense table, and Mr. Bruggeman and whatever witness you might have. Mr. Howard, there is no contract by entering the courtroom. A basic understanding of the law would
Already off to a good start with the judge saying that.
there's no contract. I haven't being seated. I know that you're Daryl Howard. I've had jurisdiction.
right, and
I've had jurisdiction over you before because you had a case for a felony child support case as well as appearing before. So this is the date and time set for hearing in this matter. Mr. Brugman, Katie Howard is in my waiting room. Is she going to be a witness today?
no, it's just show cause for failure to pay.
No, this is a bench trial.
Yeah, she'll cause bench trial for failure to pay.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, just have the further court.
Okay. Any objection to Ms. Howard viewing?
No, she can certainly.
Are you calling Katie Howard as a witness?
Yeah, I can. Yes.
Yes, okay, so, hold on. Ms. Howard, I just wanted to let you know we're here, we're gonna start the hearing. Now, if Mr. Howard's calling her as a witness, should I sequester her by putting her in the waiting?
No, it's fine. She can.
Mr. Howard, do you want me to sequester her? She is a party to this, but do you want me to put her in the waiting room until you call her?
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Howard, I'm gonna pop you in the waiting room, all right?
Okay.
All right, so, this is the date and time for a show cause bench trial in this matter. Mr. Bregman, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
Mr. Howard,
Cindy, thank you very much for the 1-year membership.
are you ready to proceed, yes or no?
No, I had one thing I wanted to make sure of. The original contract that she signed up for, I wasn't a part of. So is that void ab
There
initio?
is no contract.
What contract? The child support contract? Or the child support agreement?
In the birth of a child and support of the child, so thank you. Mr. Bregman, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, may I call your first witness?
I'd like to call Mr. Vasquez.
Mr. Vasquez, you want to step up here, please? Mr. Vasquez, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, have a seat, please.
Cerebral Tackle, thank you for the $5. The contract this guy's referring to is the love contract first featured on the Chappelle Show. Oh no.
Can you state your full name for the record, please?
Jay Vasquez,
And you are employed by?
front of the court.
It's very good. Mr. Bregman?
Mr. Vasquez, could you say your position with the front of the court?
Enforcement officer.
In that capacity, do you have access to the defendant's files and records?
I do.
Is there an order to pay child support?
Yes, sir.
What does that order state?
Mr. Howard is ordered to pay $151 a month, and he is currently behind.
151. Bro, you can't afford $151 a month for child support. Really? Really?
$8,298.
That's a arrearage as of what date?
Today.
And when was the last time you received?
I mean, I swear to God, if somebody's going so desperate to try SovCit stuff, I was expecting like, $1,200 a month in child support or something, $1,500 a month, something high, not freaking the amount of I spent at Wawa on a monthly basis. Dracondos, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
Received a payment.
He made a $1 payment on October 26th.
Thank you very much, Dracondos.
Of this year?
Correct.
And when was the last payment before that?
December of 2021.
And how much was that?
$14.38.
So since December of 2021, he's made a total of about $15 in payments?
Correct.
And how long has this order been in place?
The original order was entered October of 2019, and judgment of divorce order that support remains the same, and that was March of 2020.
Okay, so as you guys know, I'm a father of 4.
Thank you very much.
Common sense can tell you that $15 and some change will not get a child.
Oh my, really? He paid a grand total of less than $15 freaking dollars? God damn, this is like quintessential deadbeat. Margot, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Wawa is the best. Wawa is the best. I don't care what these sheets lovers say. Oh, my bad.
Child from 2020 to 2023. That's just common knowledge. So this guy is an absolute disgrace as a father.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Howard, do you have any questions for Mr. Muskie?
When was the last time you had conversations with Mr. Howard, the defendant? When was the last time you inquired about the ability to pay?
That's not the criminal court's job.
Are you, were you the, are you the caseworker for the defendant?
Yes, I am.
So when was the last time you and the defendant spoke to each other?
On this case, I'm not sure. I don't know if we ever have on this case.
Now, originally on this case, the defendant, when you had the order signed, is that the same day that he?
You can thank you for the $10 super chat. 151 isn't that much for a child you made. That being said, a lot of folks don't want to pay the mother of the child because they still want some type of ownership. I mean, I can't speak to the latter part. That latter part could be true. My thing is, like, you're right. Well, $151 is not. They can think of the $5. I dealt with arrears a lot. I'm still curious why they don't even want to pay for the child to hurt the mother. That is probably, that could be it. That, I mean, that it can be it a lot of the times. I've seen it before. But $151 is nothing. That suggests that at the very least that mom does have a decent job and is actually providing a lot for the kid. So it just means that this guy really is a freaking deadbeat. $151 a month is nothing. It's nothing.
He was taken in incarceration.
I have no knowledge of them.
So October, okay, so let's go to October 1st, 2019, is that correct?
The original order was entered October 28th of 2019.
Okay.
And you were served July of 2018. This order.
So on October the 1st, because he was incarcerated for 4 days, on that day, recollection shows that the defendant and
Mr. Howard, can I first inquire, why were you incarcerated?
for a failure for the case was there for
The felony child support case?
was there taking care of this.
So he didn't deal with a felony case, so.
Right, but I'm speaking in, okay, well, in regards to this case, on that same day, the 2 officers there, that was the time that this was supposedly signed to be a child support order.
I signed the child support, not you.
Okay, well, during that time period, there seems to be a mistake in fact. Okay, all right.
I have no follow-up questions for Mr. Bosco.
Have a seat. Any other witnesses?
I have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Howard, so do you wish to call any witnesses?
Mrs. Howard,
Okay,
stand up.
you can stand at the podium.
All right.
And then she's going to be up there. And I swear in, Ms. Howard, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you state your full name for the record, please?
Katie Suzanne Howard.
All right, very good. Mr. Howard?
Okay. At the time when you, at the time of conception, were you married?
Of what session of the?
Of the child.
So, Mr. Howard.
What the? I don't know what her marriage status has anything to do with this at this point. This is involving his failure to pay child support. I don't know what her marriage status at the time of conception or at the time of. Yeah, if this was the thing, we would have been past this a lot. This would have been over and discussed a long time ago.
The only issue we're really here on and we need to focus on is the child support and failure to pay.
Correct.
Exactly.
But
her marital status at the time of the birth of the child or anything like that has nothing to do with his failure to pay.
if the child was born out of wedlock, then we have to figure out a different scenario because all that's not
Doesn't
true.
make a difference if she was married to you, married to somebody else, or not married at all.
All right. let's see here. Okay, so okay. Underneath Michigan Common Law 700.7901, there's remedies for breach. Violation of the trustee.
Oh, okay. So people in the chat are already alluding to it. So this guy is warped in SovCit ideology to where, you know, everything, every single agreement is treated as a business contract. And so he's treating marriage as though it were I mean in a sense you could say marriage a marriage is a contract, but most of you and I don't think of it as a contract, as if we're buying and selling goods, or we're agreeing to buy and sell goods with each other, or I sign a 2-year contract for my cell phone. That's not how we look at a marriage contract. Obviously, this guy's going to think of it that way.
Owes the trustee to the beneficiary, which is Mr. Howard, is not of the breach. To compel the trustee to perform trustee duties, then joining trustees committed the breach of the trust. Order the trustee to account, appoint a special fiduciary to take possession of the trust property and administer the trust.
And I swear to God, he's going to say something like the trust property is the child, isn't it? I'm trying not to curse. I really despise SovCit's reducing children to like property terms like chattel or trust property or things like that. I really hate that.
So with that being said, with my living trust, because this estate.
So you have an estate, a living trust where you're receiving income from?
No, this estate that we are administering right now, Mr. Howard.
An estate is a guardian, or it's involved in probate court. So does that mean you have an inheritance in an estate?
Okay, well.
Oh God, they don't know. They don't know. They don't understand what he's talking about in SovCit lingo.
This is the problem. The person that Mr. Howard that you are referring to is different from the one in the living trust. Living trust, you obviously you have beneficiaries that are inside of the living trust. So there's a problem.
Can you define trust for me, Mr. Howard?
Okay.
A trust is an inheritance?
Yes.
Or money that's set aside for people to inherit?
Yes.
Or be given. So do you have that money?
My beneficiaries are in the trust. I don't have inside of my living trust. My beneficiaries, that's the problem inside of this court.
Okay,
my children are in here. My children are inside my living trust.
It doesn't apply to this.
Still, I mean,
Mr. Howard.
I know, and it's a law that I can invoke the DPP have parental immunity as well.
There's
this.
There's no such thing as parental immunity.
Yeah. Okay. This is actually starting to aggravate me. Deadbeats alone already annoy the hell out of me. The fact that this deadbeat is pulling this SovCit strategy on $151, it just infuriates me even more.
Right. 2016 Dear Colleague letter explains things a little bit different.
I'm sorry, what letter?
2016 Dear Colleague letter.
Dear Colleague letter?
Yeah, 8 pages.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Howard?
Was there ever an agreement to not have child support?
No, there was not.
You're under oath.
Okay.
She's answered your question, so.
Move along.
Do you have any other questions for Ms. Howard?
No.
Mr. Bregman, do you have any questions for Ms. Howard?
I have no questions for Ms. Howard.
Well, that was easy.
All right, Ms. Howard, you can go ahead and mute yourself. And all right. So, Mr. Howard, is there? We have closing arguments you can make. or you can make a statement and allow Mr. Bruggeman to cross-examine you. So which would you like to do? Do you wish to testify?
I got 50 minutes right where
Do
I'm
you
gonna
wish to
against
testify?
myself. No, but I.
Okay, so do you wish to make a closing statement? Then?
Sorry.
So you don't wish to testify today? No? Okay. Mr. Bruggeman, do you have a closing statement?
We're gonna rely on that testimony, Mr. Vasquez.
All right. Mr. Howard, do you have a closing statement?
A personal identification that I want to be redacted. I have a long form fiduciary form that I wanted to be done. And I also have a sworn supervised administration of a trust that I want to get taken care of. But as far as the ability to pay, I haven't had in the last 3.5 years. I've had a possible charge. I have denials right here from different companies that wouldn't do it because of the background charge. I had a possible felony at the time. So for almost 4 years now, I've been denied. And in the last month, 2 months, I just got a job there with the Great Lakes Security. So I worked a couple times with them, and they have child support to take the money out of the check that just happened when I worked. I believe it was the last month when I had one last time there. But they're trying to get me in rotation in the schedule there. So I'm trying to get my after being taken the charge of, now I'm able to, without nothing pending, I can probably do more. But up to that point, though, it's just impossible to pay, and the impossibility to pay, I invoke that in Michigan as defense.
What's the basis of the impossibility to pay?
I've had background checks where I couldn't pass for almost 4 years.
Okay, so from where I grew up, I know.
So, I mean, he ends on something even vaguely coming close to a legitimate defense. Again, he doesn't even deserve me being charitable, but I don't know why I'm doing this, but here it is. He's basically saying that these pending charges have inhibited my ability to get employment. I guess as an explanation for why he hasn't been able to pay. I mean, there are a lot of problems going into that. You know, one, why weren't you able to get employment before having these pending charges in the first place? I mean, that's among other things. But at least that comes within the realm of a cogent defense. Not this trustee fiduciary BS.
A handful of people with felonies. Most of them being drug felonies. They all have jobs and make decent money. So this whole I can't get a job because of a felony child support, I'm going to call BS on that. You could literally be like, here's the paperwork for my felony. It's for absolutely nothing. It's not like he's a violent offender where he's got 12 assaults. He's not selling drugs.
That's also true. Red's thread. How does an employer find out? I mean, they could look up the docket. I mean, there are, depending on what what state you're in, you could be able to look up somebody's docket to see if they have any pending charges
for child support. It seems like he just doesn't want it. Also, when I was in the Navy, I started doing plasma. I hate it or love it. It gives you money. I know that if I had to feed a child and I couldn't get a job, it's like $75 a pop or more. And you can do it twice a week. So it's like right there, if he would have given all of the money from one time, he would have tripled his lifetime giving to the child. So this whole sad me, poor me thing, it doesn't fly in my book. It's just being lazy.
Like I said, I'm playing the devil's advocate and being extra super hyper omega charitable to him. I think he's just a straight up deadbeat and doesn't want to pay.
I'll just state that Mr. Howard could go down to the front of the court and ask for a referee hearing to have those child support amounts adjusted based on his job or
Turbo
lack of
Deluxe
job or
Edition.
not being able to get a job. And until he does that, it's impossible for Mr. Vasquez to do anything but process the order that's in place. So Mr. Howard could go down to the front of the court and go through the procedure, but until that happens, we are dealing with an order that is in place and enforcing the order that's in place.
I have children I look after every day. Like
Say that again?
outside of this coming to court, because I come here probably twice a month for the last 3 years. And like, I'm really trying to be outside of it so I can maintain what I'm doing at home.
We gotta pay your child
Yeah.
support, and then you don't have to come before.
Yeah. If you just pay your $150 a month, then you wouldn't be inconvenienced by having to go to court.
It's very simple. I have thousands of people that pay their child support and don't come to my court. All right, so it's finding of the court that Mr. Howard is guilty of failure to pay child support. He has an arrearage in excess of, as of today's date, $8,148.
$8,140. This guy.
31 cents. He has a de minimis charge of $151. I don't find the fact that he had a felony charge as a good enough reason that he can't pay child support, because I have tons of felons on probation who hold full-time jobs.
Oh, well, here we go.
I'm sorry, Mr. Howard, a lot of the information you provided does not apply to the civil court system. You're using language from the probate court that do not apply. So I do find that you're guilty of failure to pay child support. Sentence in the court was served 14 days in the Lenawee County Jail. You can be released upon the payment of $2,000.
Did you just leave? Oh, there she goes.
I'm just putting my stuff up.
Yeah, that's fine.
I ain't doing nothing.
No, you're fine.
Archer. No. Guys, I turned off the flashbang command because you guys abused it. Archer. Fine.
Oh. Yeah, sure. Sir.
All right, so he gone. I don't understand the SovCit angle for this.
I do.
To play the whole trust. That's not me. I'm actually in the trust, and the trust says this, 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 and this. Normally, you see that argument when it comes to vehicle registration. Oh, it's in a trust. It's not mine. It doesn't need to be registered because it's in this trust. It doesn't fly then. It sure as shit doesn't, fly in family court when you have to pay child support. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I tried to talk as little as I could and as sparingly as I could because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody has really seen this type of situation with a sovereign citizen. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.
So to answer Afar's question, ultimately it does come down to SovCits treating their children like property. And because they think everything is a contract and their kids are property, therefore they can have debates and discussions and objections to child support agreements as though they're like contracts for goods and services. So that's why they try to employ SovCit tactics in these situations. Right, Winston? Are you pissed at me because I lifted you? Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna call it here. But thank you guys very much for watching. I probably gotta go feed the boys their evening snack. I'll be back on today's Tuesday, right? So I'll be back on tomorrow with some non-SovCit related videos. I have a couple of them in the on the docket, so it should be fun. I'm actually shocked that nobody got bingo tonight. I'm legit shocked. I was so sure that we were going to have at least one, if not two, bingo winners from the audio. But I'm gonna have, but to make up for it, I'm gonna have bingo again soon. I'm gonna try and see if I can siphon off a video for that, or a couple of videos for that. So I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you guys so much for your support. It's always appreciated. Thank you so much for the donations, the super chats, the gifted memberships. It's always appreciated. Hit that like button on your way out and check out my Discord as well. All right. Take care, guys. Adios.